Dear Starseed from Gaia, a man is standing at the threshold of his own soul right now, and the confession rising within him is one he has never spoken aloud to another living soul. I am Ophelia, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light. I bring you this transmission from the Reunion Guides, delivered to Divine Love, precisely for this moment in your journey. This truth he carries has shaped every silence between you, every moment he pulled away, every time he looked at you and then looked down. He was not running from you. He was running from the magnitude of what he feels, because what lives inside him for you is not ordinary love. It is sacred recognition. And sacred recognition, for the masculine, can feel terrifying before it feels freeing. You didn't find this transmission by chance. Your heart called this message in. Something in your soul is already beginning to remember what your mind has been trying to make sense of. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to navigate this sacred moment of confession, how to hold space for your divine counterpart without losing yourself, and how to let this revelation become the foundation your union has been waiting for. But here is the first revelation. His confession is not a beginning. It is a return. He has loved you in silence longer than you know. The walls he built were never about you. They were about him learning to believe he was worthy of the love you carry. This is not just a message. It is a moment of divine intervention. Your soul has been waiting for this guidance. Like this transmission to affirm to the universe, my heart is ready for divine love. Subscribe if you are on the twin flame path and aligning with sacred union. Comment 11.1 if you feel your heart awakening to the truth that is about to be spoken. And share this with someone whose divine counterpart has gone quiet, because this message may be exactly what their soul needs to receive. Your heart knows why you're here. He never said it out loud because he didn't have the language for it. That's the thing most people don't understand about men who are spiritually awake. They don't lack the feeling. They lack the permission. They were taught early that certain truths are too soft, too strange, too vulnerable to survive contact with the world, so they carry it in silence. A knowing they can't explain, a longing they can't justify, a love they remember but have never actually lived. And this silence is not emptiness. Do not mistake it for emptiness. This silence is a cathedral. It is vast and vaulted and full of echoes that never quite reach the walls. The man who carries this knowing has walked through entire decades of his life with something sacred pressed against the inside of his ribs, something that hums in the quiet hours after midnight, something that rises unexpectedly in the middle of ordinary moments, a Tuesday afternoon, a drive home from nowhere in particular, the moment between laughter and whatever comes after it, and reminds him that he is waiting for something he cannot explain to anyone who isn't already searching for the same thing. He has tried, in fragments, to speak it. He has started sentences and left them unfinished. He has looked across tables at people who loved him in their own way and felt the words dissolve before they could reach his throat, because the words were not the point. The feeling was the point, and the feeling did not fit inside ordinary language. This is not weakness. This is the specific burden of a soul that arrived in this lifetime carrying a frequency too ancient and too precise for casual conversation. The spiritually awake man does not lack depth. He lacks a witness. He has stood at the edge of his own interior ocean so many times, looked out at the horizon of what he feels, and turned back toward the shore because there was no one beside him who could see what he was seeing. And so he learned to live on the shore. He learned to be useful, capable, steady. He built things. He protected things. He showed up in all the ways the world could measure, and named that survival, named it strength, named it enough, even when something deeper in him knew it was none of those things. Even when the cathedral inside him echoed with a longing that had no altar. And here is what he has never told another living soul. He has felt her, not imagined her, not hoped for her, felt her. In the space between sleeping and waking, in a song that hit differently than it should have, in a moment of complete stillness, when something in his chest moved without reason, and he had to stop and press his hand against his sternum just to make sure he was still in his body. He doesn't talk about this because the world doesn't have a category for it, but his soul does, and somewhere, on a frequency most people never tune into, she has felt him too. He has felt her in the particular quality of light that falls on an autumn afternoon when everything goes golden and quiet, and the air itself seems to thin, as though the membrane between this world and some other, truer world has become temporarily permeable. He has felt her in the way certain music does not simply enter his ears, but moves directly into something behind the ears, something older than hearing, something that recognizes the melody before it's finished playing because it has heard it before. In another time, in another form, in a language the body remembers even when the mind has forgotten. He has felt her in dreams that are not quite dreams, in that luminous borderland of consciousness where the rules of waking life relax their grip, and something truer is briefly allowed to surface. He wakes from those spaces with tears he cannot account for, with a longing so specific it has a shape, and he lies still in the dark for a long time, pressing his hand to his chest, trying to hold on to the thread of it before the ordinary day unravels it completely. He doesn't talk about this. He has learned not to. He tried once, years ago, with someone who seemed safe enough, and watched their expression move from openness to polite confusion to the particular kind of discomfort people feel when they are standing in the presence of something they don't have permission to feel themselves. So he folded it back up, put it away, returned to the language everyone agreed on, and the cathedral in his chest absorbed another echo. What you just felt reading that quiet ache mixed with recognition, is not sadness. It is your frequency remembering what it came here to receive. If this transmission stirred something you cannot name, the Divine Love frequency code was written for this exact moment in your journey. It contains 5 sacred Arcturian transmissions designed to dissolve the wounds blocking your divine counterpart and activate the signal that draws them closer. The link is in the first pinned comment, but it will only remain there for a short time. Now let's go deeper. Because what he is about to confess isn't a story about one man. It is a mirror for every soul who has loved without being seen, waited without understanding why, and felt the unbearable nearness of something sacred, just beyond their reach. There is a particular kind of ache that belongs to people like this. It is not the ache of loneliness in the way the world understands loneliness, that hollow, restless hunger that reaches for anything and settles for distraction. This ache is more specific. It is the ache of someone who can feel the exact shape of what is missing, like a room in a house you have never visited but somehow know the floor plan of, like a name on the tip of a tongue that hasn't existed yet in this lifetime, like the space in the bed on the other side that somehow carries a weight of absence more precise than any presence you've ever touched. This is the ache of the twin flame path, and it is not a wound, it is a compass. Most souls who are walking the twin flame path believe the problem is external. They believe they haven't found the right person yet. They scroll, they date, they try again. They wonder what's wrong with them when it doesn't work. But that's not the wound. The wound is older than this lifetime. The wound is the belief that they are somehow unworthy of the love they can already feel existing somewhere in the universe. They sense the frequency of it, they dream in its color, and then they wake up and spend the day convincing themselves they imagined it. This is the invisible injury, not the heartbreaks that left evidence, the crying, the anger, the unmistakable architecture of grief that other people could witness and validate. This is the subtler wound, the one that doesn't announce itself, the one that quietly convinces you that the truest thing you feel is also the most questionable, that the love you carry in the deepest part of yourself is somehow too large, too strange, too spiritually complex to actually exist in the material world, that everyone else is playing a game with comprehensible rules and you are holding a piece that doesn't belong to any game currently being played. So you do what seemed reasonable. You modify the piece. You try to fit it into games it was never designed for. You call it unrealistic expectations when it doesn't fit. You call it being too much when it keeps falling through the spaces between ordinary love. You practice wanting less, and the cathedral echoes. This is the first thing he would confess, if someone gave him the space to do it, that he has spent years in relationships that felt like standing in shallow water, close enough to feel something, not deep enough to actually be held. And every time one ended, he didn't grieve the relationship. He grieved something he couldn't name, some version of love that the relationship was never actually offering. He stayed longer than he should have, because leaving felt like admitting that what he truly wanted didn't exist, that the love he carries inside him, the kind that lives in the bone, in the breath, in the unreasonable certainty, was just a fantasy, a spiritual delusion dressed up as hope. He grieved the version of love that existed in the space between what was and what he could feel was supposed to be. He grieved it the way you grieve a place you've never been, but recognize with your whole body the moment someone describes it. He stayed in connections that were kind enough, real enough, reasonable enough, because somewhere in his calculus, he had decided that the love he truly knew was too improbable to hold out for. And each time he stayed for the wrong reasons, some small and essential part of him went further underground. The cathedral in his chest grew a little darker. The echoes became a little more muffled. And he told himself, this was maturity. This was realism. This was what it meant to be a grown man who had let go of romantic illusions. He did not know it was surrender of the wrong kind. He did not know there was a difference between releasing what is completed and abandoning what has not yet arrived. But here is what the Arcturian Council has transmitted to hearts that are ready to receive it. The love you can feel but cannot yet hold is not a delusion. It is a signal. It is your soul broadcasting the frequency of what it is capable of giving and receiving. And the reason it hasn't materialized yet isn't because it isn't real. It is because there are locks on the door of your heart that were placed there by wounds you haven't fully named yet. Think of your heart as a house with 5 doors, each door leading to a different room of becoming. Each room necessary, each lock placed not by malice but by protection, by an earlier version of you that needed to survive what it was moving through and did the best it could with what it had. These locks are not punishments. They are not evidence of failure. They are simply waiting for the right key, held by the right hand, turned at the right moment with the right degree of consciousness. And the keys are available. The keys have always been available. The Council transmits this clearly. The door is not sealed. It is waiting to be opened from the inside. The first lock is unworthiness. It hides behind productivity. It hides behind humor. It hides behind the man who says he's fine on his own. Unworthiness doesn't always look like collapse. Sometimes it looks like control. The man who never fully lets someone in because some ancient part of him believes that if she really saw him, she would leave. Not because he's unlovable, but because he was taught, through silence, through absence, through love that came with conditions, that he had to earn his place in someone's heart. And no matter how much he gives, how much he builds, how much he protects, that part of him is still standing at the door with his offering, waiting to be told it's enough. This is perhaps the most widespread and least visible of all the locks because it wears the costume of virtue, the man who gives constantly, who shows up reliably, who is the one people call because he will always come. This man is not always giving from abundance. Sometimes he is giving from a ledger. Sometimes each act of giving is a silent question. Is this enough now? Am I enough now? Did I earn it this time? And the tragedy is that no amount of giving can answer that question, because the question is not being asked of anyone outside him. It is being asked of the wound. And the wound does not respond to offering. It responds to healing. Unworthiness in the spiritually awake man is often karmic in nature. It does not always originate in this lifetime, though this lifetime has certainly reinforced it. There are soul memories of being dismissed, of being left, of loving with complete and holy abandon and having that love returned in fragments, or not returned at all. There are imprints from other times and other bodies that say, be careful. Give less than you have. Keep something back, in case you need it later. And those imprints have been following him through the years, whispering at the edges of every connection he has reached for, pulling him back precisely at the moment when he could have gone deeper. When this lock opens, everything changes, not because someone arrives and proves his worth, but because he stops requiring proof. He stops performing and starts being. And in that being, his frequency shifts. The signal he sends into the field becomes something entirely different. Instead of broadcasting need, he begins broadcasting wholeness. And wholeness is the only frequency that divine love can locate and respond to. Wholeness does not mean perfection. This is the misunderstanding that keeps so many souls circling the threshold without crossing it. Wholeness is not the absence of wound. It is the presence of the one who has sat with the wound, learned its name, understood its origin, and refused to let it make the decisions anymore. Wholeness is integration, not completion. It is the man who says, I know where my fear lives, and I choose love anyway. That frequency, the frequency of conscious, integrated, deliberate self-love, is unmistakable in the field. It does not broadcast quietly, it radiates, and divine love, which operates on the principle of resonance rather than seeking, moves naturally and inevitably toward that radiation. The second lock is the mirror he hasn't looked into yet. Every relationship he has been in, every connection that burned bright and then collapsed, was showing him something. Not about the other person, about himself. About the parts of himself he was still unwilling to meet. The divine counterpart doesn't arrive to complete you. She arrives to reflect back what you've already healed. And the reason the timing never felt right, the reason connection after connection fell apart before it could deepen, is because there were still chambers of the heart he hadn't entered, still rooms he kept dark and locked and told himself weren't important. Every collapsed connection is a sacred document if you are willing to read it. Not a document of failure, a document of precision. Because the soul does not send random reflections. The soul sends exactly the mirror it needs at the exact moment it needs to see itself in that particular way. The partner who triggered his abandonment wound was not a mistake. The relationship that brought his control patterns to the surface was not a detour. These were curriculum. These were the universe's way of saying, here is what still lives in the dark. Here is what still needs your attention. Here is where the key to the next lock can be found. This is what she would see when she finally stood before him. Not the version he presents to the world, not the capable one. The steady one, the one who has it together. She would see the room he has never shown anyone. And the question the universe has been waiting for him to answer is not whether she could handle it. It's whether he could finally look at himself with the same tenderness he's been saving for someone else. There is something almost unbearable in this realization. The tenderness he extends to others so naturally and completely is the same tenderness he has spent a lifetime withholding from himself. He will sit with a friend in their pain and say, "You are not broken. You are becoming." He will look at someone he loves and see, without effort, every reason they are worthy of all the good things they desire. And then he will turn that same gaze inward and find it suddenly difficult to hold. The light that seems so clear when directed outward becomes hard to look at when it turns back toward the self. This is the second lock in its most intimate expression. And opening it requires the most specific kind of courage, the courage to be your own witness, to sit in your own presence without judgment, without the performance you maintain for everyone else, and simply say, "I see you. I have always seen you. And you are enough." When this lock opens, the relationship patterns shift. The cycle of attracting almost right connections breaks, because what was drawing those connections wasn't a flaw in his discernment. It was a flaw in his self-knowledge. He was calling in partners who matched the frequency of his hidden rooms. When he heals what lives in those rooms, he stops calling in reflections of his wound and begins calling in reflections of his healing. The world we live in treats self-examination as self-indulgence. It says, stop navel-gazing, get on with it, move forward. But the Arcturian transmissions have always insisted otherwise, that the inner work is the outer work, that there is no separation between what you carry in your hidden rooms and what materializes in your external reality. The field responds to the whole of you, not the version you curate for consumption. And when the whole of you is in alignment, when the public self and the private self and the sacred self are no longer three different tenants in the same house, but one integrated being living in every room at once, the field reflects that integration back to you in forms you could not have predicted and will not be able to deny. The third lock is the oldest one. It is made of karmic agreements, soul contracts from lifetimes and from this one, that have outlived their purpose but haven't been consciously released. Some of the loves he has grieved the most were not failures. They were completions. They were sacred agreements that said, "I will teach you this, you will teach me that." And when the lesson is whole, we release. But no one told him that, so he carried the grief like evidence of his own inadequacy. He held on past the point of completion because letting go felt like admitting defeat. There is a particular weight to this kind of grief. It is heavier than ordinary heartbreak because it is compounded by confusion, the sense that something sacred ended before it should have, that the divine purpose was somehow interrupted or betrayed. But the Council clarifies, divine purpose is never interrupted. It is only ever completed on a schedule that cannot be read by human heartbreak. The connection that ended 3 years ago, the one that still occasionally moves through him like weather, the one he still can't fully explain to himself, that connection was not abandoned by the universe. It was honored. It was held and taught and eventually gently concluded. And the grief he still carries is not evidence of a love that failed. It is evidence of a soul contract that succeeded so completely it left a mark. The truth the Council transmits here is this: releasing a connection that has completed its contract is not loss. It is liberation. It is the clearing of energetic space for what comes next. Every time he let go, truly let go, not abandoned, he made room. He just didn't know what the room was being prepared for. Now he does. To consciously release a completed contract is one of the most powerful spiritual acts available to a human being. It requires something rarer than strength. It requires trust. Trust that the universe did not end something beautiful by accident. Trust that what felt like departure was actually delivery of the lesson, delivery of the growth, delivery of the energetic clearing that the next level of love requires. When he stands in that trust and says, out loud or in the silence of his own heart, I release this with gratitude. I honor what it was. I free us both. Something moves in the field. Something shifts on a level that linear thought cannot track, but the body can feel. A lightness, a spaciousness, room. The fourth lock is the one called divine timing, and this is perhaps the most misunderstood of all the locks, because surrender is not passivity. It is not resignation. It is an active, conscious, heart-open alignment with a schedule that is being managed by something far more intelligent than linear thought. The universe has not forgotten him. The universe is not punishing him. The universe is orchestrating conditions he cannot see from where he stands. Conditions that will make the meeting not just possible, but inevitable. And when it happens, he will understand every delay. He will feel the perfection of it in a way that cannot be argued with. This is the lock that tests patience in the deepest way, because it asks a human being, a creature of linear time, of clocks and calendars and the relentless pressure of a society that equates speed with success, to trust a timeline that is not linear, to believe that the delay is not denial, to understand that the space between the longing and the fulfillment is not empty, but full of preparation, of positioning, of the invisible work that the universe is doing on his behalf and on hers, bringing them both through whatever they each still need to move through before they can stand in the same field without flinching. The timing is not late. The timing is precise. It has always been precise. And every moment of impatience he has spent wondering why it hasn't happened yet has been matched, on the other side of the field, by her own version of the same question, asked in her own way, in her own darkness, in her own cathedral. Active surrender is the key to this lock. Not the surrender of giving up, but the surrender of giving over, releasing the grip of control on a timeline that was never his to manage, and pouring that released energy back into the present moment, into the work, into the becoming. Because the present moment is where the frequency is built, the present moment is where the signal is strengthened. The future cannot be controlled, but the signal broadcasting into it can be refined, right now, with every conscious choice he makes about who he is and how fully he is willing to inhabit that. The fifth lock is resonance, and this is the one he has the most power over right now. Resonance is not about becoming someone different. It is about becoming more fully who he already is, without apology, without performance, without the constant monitoring of how he's being received. Divine love doesn't move toward desperation. It moves toward wholeness. It moves toward the man who has done the work, faced the rooms, released the contracts, and now stands in his own field broadcasting not need but readiness, not want but worthiness. Resonance is the frequency of authenticity taken all the way to its root. It is what happens when the performance finally stops, not because he has given up on being seen, but because he has begun to be seen by himself. When a man reaches the place where he no longer needs external validation to confirm the truth of his own interior life, something in his field becomes extraordinarily still and extraordinarily powerful at the same time. It is the stillness of a deep lake, untroubled by wind, reflecting everything that stands beside it with perfect clarity. And a divine counterpart, wherever she is in her own journey, is not drawn to turbulence. She is drawn to that clarity. She is drawn to the frequency of a man who knows his own water, its depth, its temperature, its particular quality of light, and is not afraid to swim in it. Resonance is cultivated through the smallest and most consistent acts of self-truth, saying the thing he actually means, rather than the thing that will be well received, choosing the life that calls to him rather than the life that calls him reasonable, creating, expressing, giving form to the interior world that has been waiting for expression behind the cathedral walls. Every time he honors his own frequency, every time he chooses authenticity over performance, depth over safety, genuine presence over careful management, the signal he broadcasts becomes more distinct, more receivable, more precisely tuned to the frequency of the soul that was made to receive it. When all 5 locks release, not perfectly, not all at once, but progressively, one sacred key at a time, something in the field shifts. The signal he sends becomes unmistakable to the soul that was made to receive it. She doesn't have to search for it. She follows it the way a frequency follows its source. Because that is how this works at the level of divine union. It is not luck. It is not chance. It is 2 frequencies, healed enough to recognize each other, finally aligned enough to meet. There is a moment in physics, in the study of resonance, in the observable behavior of frequencies, where 2 vibrations moving toward the same amplitude will suddenly lock together, not through force but through natural alignment, and produce something neither could produce alone. This is called sympathetic resonance. And it is the most accurate physical metaphor available for what divine union actually is. Not 2 people who happen to find each other, 2 souls who, through their individual work of becoming, finally reached the frequency at which their meeting was not only possible, but structurally inevitable. The universe did not manufacture the connection. The universe simply waited for both frequencies to arrive at the amplitude where recognition could occur. And when they do, when that moment of sympathetic resonance finally comes, there is no confusion about it. The body knows. The field knows. Something older than the mind. Something that has been carrying this knowing for decades, for lifetimes, finally says yes. This. Here. And here is the ultimate truth. The confession he has never spoken out loud. The thing he has carried in silence because the world doesn't have a container for it. He is not afraid of being alone. He is afraid of going through this entire life without ever being fully known, without ever standing in front of someone and having nothing hidden, without ever saying everything, the impossible things, the sacred things, the things that live below language, and being met, not fixed, not managed, met. Let those words settle into wherever they land. He is not afraid of solitude. He has made a life in solitude. He has learned to be present with himself in ways that most people never discover because they spend their lives running from exactly the interior that he has been forced by circumstance and temperament to inhabit. He knows the territory of his own soul. He has walked its edges and sat by its rivers and climbed its strange interior mountains. Solitude does not frighten him. What frightens him? The thing that wakes him at 3 a.m. and sits at the edge of the bed and does not leave, is the possibility that he will navigate the entire geography of this life without ever having a witness, without ever having someone stand beside him in the landscape of his own interior and say, "I see this too, I know what you mean. I have been here too, in my own version of this same country." That is not too much to want. That is not a fantasy. That is the precise shape of what he came here for. And the fact that he can feel it this clearly, the fact that it lives in him so completely that he can sense its outline even in the dark, is not evidence that it doesn't exist. It is evidence that it does, that somewhere in the field of this universe there is a soul who carries the other half of that frequency. And the work, the real, sacred, heart-level work, is not to find her faster. It is to become so fully himself that she cannot miss him. She is not lost. Neither is he. They are both in the process of becoming findable. They are both, in their own ways, working through the locks, naming the wounds, releasing the contracts, building the resonance that will make the meeting not a matter of circumstance, but a matter of frequency alignment. And every step he takes toward his own wholeness, every moment he chooses truth over performance, depth over safety, self-compassion over self-abandonment, is a step that narrows the distance, not in miles, in frequency, in the precision of the signal he is broadcasting into a field that is listening. The Arcturian transmissions have always carried this message at their core. You are not waiting for love to arrive. You are becoming the frequency that love cannot ignore. There is nothing passive in this. There is nothing small in this. It is perhaps the most demanding and most sacred work a human being can undertake. The work of becoming so completely and courageously yourself that the soul designed to recognize you has no difficulty doing so. This is the path. This is the practice. And it is available to him right now, in this moment, in this breath, with this much willingness. Tonight, before sleep, place your hand on your heart and say it like you mean it, out loud. Even if your voice shakes, I am worthy of being fully known. I release every contract that has completed. I align with the love that is already written in my soul. I trust the timing. I trust myself. I am ready. Say it even if nothing in the external world has changed yet. Say it especially then, because the field responds to declaration. The field responds to the moment when a soul stops waiting to feel worthy and simply chooses to claim its own worthiness as a present tense truth. This is not affirmation in the shallow sense. This is frequency recalibration. This is the hand turning the key in the lock from the inside. This is the moment the cathedral stops echoing and begins, for the first time in a long time, to sing. Before you scroll, drop one word in the comments, just one word that describes what this confession opened in you, and then read what someone else wrote, and let them know they are not alone in it, because that is what this space is. Not content, not entertainment. Collective healing happening in real time. If this message found you, it was not an accident. Share it with someone who is ready to stop carrying their longing in silence. Subscribe if you want to stay in the frequency of what is being activated here, because this is not the end of the transmission. This is where it begins.